what are some risks they need to consider?
With the ERP implementation, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Look, the ERP implementation is it starts early, Mirko. It really does. It starts from a mindset. And this mindset means planning. Planning is key to it. Before we even talk about project management, planning. Planning means you need an idea of what is my knowledge, what are my resources, right? That means time, money, and most important, do I really know my business? In other words, have I got workflows? Have I got a concept of what is the flow of sales fulfillment, production fulfillment? You need to document that. So you need to plan what your requirements are. Because once you have workflow, you can then work out those are my pain points, those are my requirements, those are my goals. Document that. So planning your requirements, your pain points, key. That's number one. Number two is that you will need to select software. And there's many criteria. The selection criteria, we can write a book about this. But the selection criteria, apart from based on what is financially palatable for yourself, it has to be a product or a solution. Let me talk solution, not software. We are talking solution. It needs to be scalable. In other words, as your business grows, you should be able to expand it. It needs to be also accessible from anywhere. Obviously, now we are working from home. It has to have a great buy-in from your staff. So the UI has to be good. It has to be user-friendly. So those are some of the factors that you would consider on what the solution would look like. Then we move on to the actual implementation of ERP, which is project management. And I think that's not really appreciated, because what happens sometimes is that you will go on the internet, say, okay, I need inventory management, and you'll get Google will list you all this great inventory management software. So you'll go onto the website and say, yeah, here are the videos, you can do this in 5 days, 10 days, load up your data, configure the settings, and you're ready to go with a few videos. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Data itself is a major area, but ultimately with your workflows, you have to test, you have to configure the ERP system to how your business works. And remember, these ERP systems on the cloud they are fit for all. In other words, they are there for many markets, many sectors, many industries. So what works for you for the same software may not work for another company based on the integrations, based how you structure the data, just based how you use the software, because there's so many permutations. So that settings, those parameters, when you come to do the ERP implementation, is key. And that again comes down to project planning, and ultimately it comes to knowledge. So you've looked at the software, you like the way it looks, but you really don't know how it works. So where do we go from here? You need expert advice, you need knowledge, and that knowledge comes from ideally professionals, partners who've already implemented those systems. So they have knowledge of the software, they have knowledge of managing an IT project, and thirdly, they have some business acumen knowledge, because ultimately it's a commercial endeavor you're involved in. It's workflows. Your business is your business. Software is a tool to make your business efficient. So whoever you take on, and we are now talking about a professional partner who will help you with the implementation, they should have a project management IT experience, they should have knowledge of the software itself, and they should have ideally some idea of what your industry is or what commercial requirements you have.
Okay, excellent. So I really appreciate that.